Today, we're unpacking a really dark, completely fascinating narrative directly from the source material. We are breaking down the terrifying Baidia or werewolf story of Viraj and Vimala. It's this wild tale of desperate love, forbidden magic, and honestly the horrific consequences of trying to alter fate. So let's just dive right into it. We're actually going to start at the very end of our timeline here. Picture this. A revered spiritual ascetic, known as the Baba, passes away. Now, for 45 years, he was surrounded by these devoted disciples, right? But he never, ever let them near his personal belongings. Specifically, this one heavy iron box that he guarded literally with his life. When his followers finally opened it up after his death, they probably expected to find, holy texts or ancient relics. Instead, they found something that made their blood run cold.
Inside that box was a skull, but if you looked closely, actually, it wasn't human, but it wasn't an animal either. The jaw was distinctly that of a terrifying wolf, while the back of the cranium, completely human. This gruesome discovery absolutely shocked the disciples to their core. To understand exactly how this monstrous relic ended up in a holy man's possession, well, we have to flash back exactly 20 years.
Part 1. 20 years earlier. A mother's desperate plea. This is where we meet Vimla. She's a heartbroken mother, weeping over the completely motionless body of her 17-year-old son Viraj. He is dying. The doctors have basically told her to go ahead and prepare for his last rites. But Vimla? She absolutely refuses to accept this. So she drags her boy deep into the jungle to the Baba's ashram. When the Baba tells her, look, he gave up dark tantric magic years ago after making a sacred vow to his guru, Vimla pulls out a dagger. She holds it right to her own neck. She forces his hand, making him choose between the sin of breaking his holy vow or the sin of letting a mother die by suicide right in front of him. Reluctantly, the Baba agrees to help.
Part 2. The Forbidden Blood Ritual.
The sheer brutality of the magic using this blood ritual it's just shocking. It's the night of the Purnima, the full moon. The Baba has tied this fierce, massive captive wolf to a heavy tree deep in the jungle. At exactly midnight, he sacrifices the wolf. The source describes how the Baba takes the beast's blood and literally coats the dying boy's entire body with it, chanting intensely the whole time. The final step? Placing drops of the wolf's blood directly onto the boy's tongue and into his nose. Viraj violently thrashes around. It's almost like he's having a severe seizure, bumping into the dead wolf's claws, bleeding himself, until finally, he just goes completely still. But the next morning? It honestly seems like a miracle. I mean, the contrast is stark. Before the ritual, Viraj was a weak, dying 17-year-old boy. After the ritual, he washes off the dried blood and he's incredibly healthy. But he's changed. He starts demanding raw meat for every single meal. He possesses this unnatural strength, violently shoving his mother to the floor, angrily bashing his head against the walls. Tragically, though, Vimla's maternal instinct completely blinds her. She dismisses all of these terrifying red flags, convincing herself that her son is, just irritable and recovering from a really severe illness. But, spoiler alert, it wasn't illness.
Part 3. The Curse of the Purnima.
So the escalating horror here is tied directly to the lunar cycle. The ritual happened on a full moon, right? Well, on the very next full moon, the first transformation occurs. Viraj turns into a beast, jumps out his window, slaughters a dog outside, and eats it raw. His mother wakes up to blood and meat chunks literally everywhere, but somehow she rationalizes it away as a cat killing a rabbit. It's wild. But by the third full moon, the violence really escalates. The beast leaves the village and actually attacks the Baba's ashram in the jungle, targeting a sleeping disciple named Kundan. Another disciple wakes up to the noise and witnesses pure, unadulterated nightmare fuel. According to the source material, he sees an 8-foot-tall werewolf walking upright on 2 legs. The beast slashes open Kundan's chest with claws sharper than swords, licks the blood from the ground, and then tears his arm off. The terrified disciple runs straight to the Baba, and that's when the Baba realizes his forbidden magic hasn't just healed a boy. He has literally unleashed a demon.
So this is the crucial point. The Baba knows he's completely out of his depth here. He immediately departs for the Himalayas to find his old guru, desperately seeking some solution to reverse this curse. But before leaving, he gives his remaining disciples very strict orders. They have to track down Viraj, capture him, and tie him up with heavy ropes. And the warning is absolute. The boy must be completely secured before midnight on the next Purnima, or they are all doomed. No exceptions.
Part 4. Night of the Bloodbath.
Okay, so the disciples actually managed to tie Viraj up at the ashram just as the sun sets on that final full moon. And the source notes a really terrifying detail here. The wild animals in the forest went completely eerily silent, like they could sense this unnatural predator in their midst. As the clock strikes midnight, Viraj's eyes turn blood red. His nails grow long and black. He transforms and just easily snaps the heavy ropes holding him like they're nothing. In seconds, he falls upon the first disciple, mercilessly tearing him apart. Covered in blood, the beast turns its gaze to the final surviving disciple. This guy pulls out a hidden knife, preparing to fight for his life. But suddenly, Vimla, who had actually followed the disciples into the jungle to find her son, steps right between the armed man and the monster. She shoves the disciple away, shouting, "I won't let anyone kill my son."
And guys, it is the ultimate tragic irony. Vimla's blind, desperate love is exactly what started this nightmare. And sadly, it's what ends her life. The beast, completely devoid of all human memory at this point, doesn't see a loving mother. It just sees meat. With a single brutal swipe of his massive claw, Viraj strikes Vimla. She's thrown violently against a heavy stone, dying instantly on impact. He killed his own mother.
Part 5. The Baba's Final Strike.
With Vimla dead, the beast turns right back to the disciple. Just as the werewolf is about to devour him, the Baba finally returns from the Himalayas, wielding an enchanted sword. The beast charges, and its claws actually dig deep into the Baba's leg, but the holy man stands his ground. Refusing to miss his mark, the Baba drives the sword directly into the werewolf's heart. As the creature falls to the ground, Baba strikes multiple times, finally decapitating the beast just to ensure the dark magic is broken forever.
Which brings us full circle to the very first question we asked. Why? Why did the Baba lock that half-human, half-wolf skull in an iron box and carry it around with him every single day for 45 years?
Well, the skull wasn't some kind of trophy. It was a lifelong reminder. It was the Baba's eternal penance for his hubris, for breaking his sacred vow, and for utilizing forbidden magic that ultimately destroyed the very lives it was actually meant to save. It really leaves us with a provocative thought, doesn't it? When we desperately try to cheat fate and bypass the natural order, does the universe always come back to collect its bloody toll? Thank you so much for joining me. It's a remarkably dark story for sure, but the structure of how this tragedy unfolded is truly gripping. Keep questioning things, and I will see you next time.